Shalom, shalom, peace and blessings. Now let's get straight to it. All right, so today's lesson is, are the Jewish people today the Israelites of the Bible? Now, in today's world, there's a great debate, really, for those that know what's going on, but a debate nonetheless on who God's chosen people are, or the Israelites of the Bible. And really in Christianity, they don't even teach you that the Most High has a chosen people. But for people that somewhat read the Bible, they know that there is a nation of people called the Israelites who the scriptures talk about from beginning to the end. You know, you have the man Jacob or Israel, his forefathers even, but after that you got Moses that led the children of Israel out of Egypt. Who else, brothers? You got Joshua, you got the judges like Samson, you got the king Saul, David, Solomon, all of their progeny. Everybody I just stated was an Israelite. You got the prophets, Isaiah, Jeremiah, so on and so forth, all Israelites. Okay, so of course, you know, I'll be remiss to not mention this. Yahawashi is an Israelite. You got Paul. Okay, as you see, that's the main nation of people in the scriptures, and all of the important quote unquote characters, for lack of better terms, in the scriptures are Israelites. So knowing this, and if we are believers of the word, then we need to know who the Israelites are of today, right? And what they tell you is that the quote unquote Jewish people today are, or sometimes they say they're Jews. They say that they're the Israelites of the Bible. So especially in response to some recent events that took place here within the last month or so, I think it's time to examine that. Okay, because we're here in Babylon where there's lies and deception around every corner. So, you know, we need to be able to investigate these things and see if that doctrine actually holds some weight. So to answer the question, are Jewish people today Israelites of the Bible? Absolutely not. Matter of fact, not only are they not, I'm going to prove that without shadow of doubt. And not only are they not the Israelites, they're liars, deceivers, thieves, mass murderers, manipulators, and antichrist. Okay, and everything I just stated is actually not my opinion. It's actually based on scriptures and proven facts in world history. So that's enough on the intro, man. Let's get in here. Let's get 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 21.
It's the book of 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 21. Prove all things, hold fast that which is good.
So, you know, you can't just make a claim as vital and important as we are God's chosen people without that being proven. You know, they've never been put on trial, the quote unquote Jewish people. Everybody just accepts that they're quote unquote Jewish. And I put that in quotes because that term is never used in the scriptures to denote Israelites of the Bible. That already there in itself lets you know that that's a man-made creation, that word or those people. But yeah, man, you know, they never put it on trial. All right. The so-called white man, the quote unquote American white man, you know, he kind of put to the test nowadays. A lot of people talk about him. You know, they talk about each other with their white guilt. You know, white people stole this land and white people need to do this and that. But you never really hear any type of reproof, any type of correction, any type of testing of doctrine from the so-called Jewish man. You never really see that. All right. So that's what we're going to do today. All right. Let's get a little bit of a little backstory, a little history here on what they call the Jews today. Okay, at least what's nationally accepted, internationally accepted to be Jews. Okay, Baba Kashai, you can start from the top here. We don't even need that much on this page. Let's just go from right here. Actually, that's it.
Khan. Jew, Hebrew, Yehuda. So you said it out? Yehuda?
Yehudi. How do they pronounce it
Yeah.
in the modern?
The Yehudim.
Yeah, the
Or
Yehudi. That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Khan.
Khan. Jew, Hebrew, Yehudim. Any person whose religion is Judaism. In the broader sense of the term, a Jew is any person belonging to the worldwide group that constitute, through descent or conversation, a continuation of the ancient Jewish people who were themselves descendants of the Hebrew of the Bible, Old Testament.
No, they weren't. That's a lie. All right. So in the first little sentence here, it says any person whose religion is Judaism. Where is that in the Bible? Where is the religion known as Judaism in the Bible, in the Old or New Testament? Where is that? So how do you start off your definition by defining a people? Any person. It says any person whose religion is Judaism, but that's not even in the scriptures. So you have to understand that the world that you live in is not interested in truth. It's only in narrative. Okay. It's all narrative. It doesn't matter whether it's the truth or not. As long as enough people believe it, it becomes the truth to people. Okay. It doesn't actually have to be rooted in any type of substance. Like that's why I say quote unquote Jewish, because that's something that exists, but it's not rooted in any substance at all. You understand? In a broader sense of the term, a Jew is any person belonging to the worldwide group that constitutes through descent or conversion. Through conversion, so you can be a quote unquote Jew through conversion. Where is that at in the scriptures? Okay, now let's look at this picture here. My goodness. So these are the people that they call quote unquote Jewish or God's chosen people. Now look at this. We're going to deal with that. I have so much information on this topic. I know this is bare minimum going to be a part 2, if not like part 3. But we're going to deal with that black box later on that's on their head, because that's nowhere found in the scriptures. Or a bar mitzvah. They say this is a bar mitzvah. That's not in the scriptures at all. That you're supposed to, have these boys doing bar mitzvahs. That's not in the scriptures. So we already seeing holes in a doctrine. Okay. Now let's get a little bit more, just so we can kind of define, just in case those are not familiar with who the quote unquote Jewish people are. Now we got something on Judaism. So let's get Judaism. Baba Kashai, you can start with that first paragraph, and then we're going to read that highlighted purple as well.
Khan. Judaism is the world's oldest monotheistic religion, dating back nearly 4,000 years.
That's a lie.
Khan.
That's a lie, but you can keep on.
Followers of Judaism believe in one God who revealed himself through ancient prophets. The history of Judaism is essential to understanding the Jewish faith, which has a rich heritage of law, culture, and tradition.
Lies and deceit. That's what they are, a rich heritage of. But the history of Judaism, no, actually, let me go back. It says followers of Judaism believe in one God who revealed himself through ancient prophets. Okay, no, I need to know that. The history of Judaism is essential to understand. Okay, matter of fact, yeah, this is the part I wanted to get to. Let's get that highlighted section.
Judaism beliefs. Jewish people believe there's only one God who has established a covenant or special agreement with them.
Salakia, hold on now. Jewish people believe there's only one God who has established a covenant or a special agreement with them. Now, don't we get called don't we say, don't they say that we're spewing hate speech and being anti-Semitic, quote unquote, when we say the same thing? That we have an established covenant with the Most High, special agreement with him, but they get to say it and it's nationally and internationally recognized. You understand? But this doctrine has not been put to the test. Nobody asks these questions. You have to ask this question. Jewish people believe there's one God who established a covenant or special agreement with them. Okay, according to what? Can you show me that in the scriptures? Can you show me historically how you believe that you are of the seed line of the Israelites. And it says Jewish people anyways. That's nowhere in the Bible. This is not in the scriptures at all whatsoever. All right, let's get the rest of it.
Their God communicates to believers through prophets and rewards good deeds while also punishing evil.
Well, you need to be punished, son. Let's keep going.
Most Jews, with the exception of a few groups, believe their Messiah hasn't yet come, but will one day.
Now, that's a major issue we're going to touch on in a second here. But look, again, they say that we're spewing anti-Semitic tropes. That's what they said. That's what they said Kyrie Irving did, right? Just from a surface level here, that's what they said that the brother did. Spewed anti-Semitic tropes because of the documentary that he posted a link to. Had brothers saying that we were the ancient Israelites of the Bible, which is true. Okay, but when they say it, it's all good. You can have a page on history.com, with them out there wilding, riling Satan up back there. Ain't no telling what's going on. Probably some babies getting ate or something. Ain't no telling. But they can do that. But when we do it, it's an issue. All right. You see the hypocrisy there. Now, we have to deal with this. So it says most Jews, with the exception of a few groups, believe that their Messiah hasn't yet come, but will one day. Now, that's something else. That's something else, man. Let's get 2 John chapter 1 and verse 7.
It's the book of 2 John chapter 1 and verse 7. For many deceivers are entered into the world, who confess not that Yahawashi HaMashiach is come in the flesh. There is a deceiver and an antichrist.
So earlier when I said that they were deceivers and antichrist, you may have thought that I was just throwing words out there, but no, that's what the scriptures say. Because they say that Yahawashi has not come into the flesh. You see that? This is not just this article either. I've heard them say that out their mouths. They truly believe that Yahawashi never came on the scene. They don't even deal with the quote unquote New Testament. They don't deal with it at all. So what does the Bible say about those that believe that Yahawashi did not come into the flesh? What do they say about that? Can you read that one more time?
For many deceivers are entered into the world, who confess not that Yahawashi HaMashiach is come in the flesh. This is a deceiver and an antichrist.
So don't say I'm spewing hate speech. Apparently the Bible is, because that's exactly what the scriptures say. This is a deceiver and this is an antichrist. So if you are of Judaism, are you quote unquote Jewish, you are an antichrist. You are a deceiver. Who is associated with being a deceiver? Satan is. Okay, so you're the synagogue of Satan. All right, let's get the rest of this right here highlighted.
Jewish people worship in holy places known as synagogues, and their spiritual leaders are called rabbis. This six-pointed star of David is the symbol of Judaism.
Salakia. So, not to go too deep into this, but when you see this six-pointed star of David is the symbol of Judaism, you have to understand that these Jewish people, they love the number 6 because they're heavily into gematria. Gematria basically is the study of numbers and how it associates with the letter of a name. I mean, not a letter of a name, the letter of an alphabet. Not to go too deep into that, but they love the number 6. All right. They say that during the Holocaust, there was 6 million Jews killed, right? Did they give Kyrie Irving exactly 6 things to do to get back on the court? The quote unquote Jewish people, they love the number 6. And we know that the number 666 is the number of the man, right? Of the beast mentioned in the book of Revelation. They trying to give you the signs, man, but people really just don't be picking up on it. All right, let's get the rest of the second paragraph right here.
Today, there are about 14 million Jews worldwide. Most of them live in the United States and Israel. Traditionally, a person is considered Jewish if his or her mother is Jewish.
Now, where is that in the scriptures? When are you considered to be of a seed line according to your mother? When has that ever been so? See, none of this stuff really makes sense that they be talking about, man. Let's get Numbers chapter 1. And we're going to start with verse 1 just to get a little context, and then we're going to go to the verse we all know it down in verse 10. Let's get verse 1 real quick.
This is the book of Numbers, chapter 1 and verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses in the wilderness of Sinai, in the tabernacle of the congregation, on the first day of the 7th month, in the 2nd year after they were come out of the land of Egypt, saying,
A matter of fact, let's get verse 2.
Take ye the sum of all the congregation of the children of Israel, after their families, by the house of their fathers, with the number of their names, every male by their polls.
By the house of their fathers. So as you see here, it says the census of Israel's warriors. All right, so that's why you have the book called Numbers. At least one of the reasons why it's the book is called Numbers, because of the census that Moses took in the wilderness of the children of Israel. And you see he went by the house of their fathers, because that determines the seed line, the father. When you read in the book of Matthew, chapter 1, you see that all of the men were listed from the genealogy of Yahawashi, and the genealogy in Luke as well. Okay, it goes by your father because the father holds the seed. It doesn't make sense from a genealogy standpoint, from, matter of fact, let's just get not verse 10, I'm tripping, verse 18. Let's get that real quick. I already had to highlight. Let's get verse 18.
Verse 18. And they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the 2nd month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names from 20 years old and upward by their polls.
Okay, that's how we've always been numbered, by the father. And just to finish what I was saying, genetically, it only makes sense to go by the father because, again, say if you have an orange, you have an orange seed. If you plant that seed here in America, what is it going to come out? It's going to still come out as an orange. If you plant that thing in Saudi Arabia, what is it going to come out? It's going to still come out an orange, because the seed, no matter where it's planted, it's still going to come out from, where it stems from. And it's the same way with us. You are what your father is, okay, not your mother.
Shalakia.
So, Khan.
Yeah, man, this is honestly one of the most insane arguments from the small hats that I've ever heard, because it's been a lot of debates on it lately with Israelites or whatever, but it's a reason why Jacob's daughters weren't emphasized as much as his sons were, because it goes by the seed line, which is in the man, so none of that even makes sense that you're considered a Jew by your mother. It makes no sense at all, according to biology, according to the scriptures. It's just completely nonsense, honestly, bro.
Absolutely, 100%. When you see the 12 tribes of Israel being by the Jacob's daughters, like that, yeah, that's insane. It literally makes no sense by it, no matter how you measure it. But this is the Most High giving us signs to who the real children of Israel are. Because Satan, no matter how much his deceptions are, how abundant they are, the truth is always going to be there. All you have to do is pay attention to have the spiritual discernment. Absolutely. I stand on exactly what that brother just said. Khan.
Hey, just to add on to that point there, there are none of them saying they are from the tribe of Dinah.
Exactly. With the tribe of Dinah. Why don't they say that then? Why do they go by the genealogy of the men if they quote unquote Jews, which is just short for Judah? Why don't they go by Dinah then? That they're supposed to be Danish. Some mess like that, man. Whatever they got going on, Khan.
I wanted to add another point on to your point, but when you went to, you were talking about the 14 million Jews. Isaiah 10:22 destroys that.
You said Isaiah 10 and what? I'm sorry.
Isaiah chapter 10, verse 22, for the children of Israel, the sands of the sea can't be numbered. That's a straight cut right there.
Oh, yeah, it definitely is.
Like I said, I don't know if you had that precept already ready, but yeah, I know what you said, 14 million, according to, and if I'm not mistaken, there's multiple verses in the Bible that says the children of Israel can't be numbered.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. Completely agree with that as well. And one more thing, let's go back to this. I had one more precept on that we didn't get, as far as them believing that Yahawashi hasn't come yet. Because see, most people are gonna glance right over that, but you got to see what the scriptures say about this. Let's test their doctrine, man. Let's get 1 John chapter 2 and verse 22.
It's the book of 1 John chapter 2 and verse 22. Who is a liar, but he that denieth that Yahawashi is the Hamashiach? He is antichrist, that denieth the Father and the Son.
You can't have the Father without the Son. Yahawashi is the doorway. Okay, he's the door. So if you deny the Son, you deny the Father as well. So again, I use that word liar in the intro. You might have thought I was just throwing it out there, but that's what the scriptures say. Okay, it's not just me. So you can't say I'm spewing hate speech. You can't flag this video for hate speech. It's not me. It's the scriptures, man. Now let's touch on something really quick. Speaking of lying, due to time, we're not going to get too deep into this, but I just want to touch on this word anti-Semitic that's always thrown around. Really briefly, because it is actually very simple. So when it comes down to it, this word is nonsense. Okay, it's made up. It's completely made up. Let's get, because we had a word Semitic here. Do I even want to deal with what they have here? You know what? I'm gonna just deal with anti-Semitic. So a Semite is someone that stems from the great patriarch Shem. That's simple. But how is that word being attributed to only one people when Shem had many nations descend from him? So how could only one people be Semitic? So if you say something, quote unquote, derogatory towards quote unquote Jewish people, then you're anti-Semitic, right? But that makes no sense for that word to be attributed or attributed only to one set of people. Now, let's just get this real quick because like I said, this is not even nothing deep. I just wanted to touch on it really quick based on recent events here. Let's just get that highlighted portion real quick.
Anti-Semitism. Also, anti-Semitism, 1881 from German anti-Semitismus, first used by Wilhelm Marr from 1819 to 1904, a German radical, nationalist, and race agitator who founded the Anti-Semitic Liga in 1879. See anti-Semite.
So here's the gist of it. It's made up. Okay, it's made up. I actually looked up this guy, Wilhelm Marr, and looked up some of his work. This stuff is just made up out of thin air. And you really should not be adhering to words that men just made up. Okay, this doesn't mean anything at all. Because again, we saw that Semite is a descendant of the great patriarch Shem. So we are Semitic. Here on this call, we're Semitic. If you're a so-called Black man or woman, you're Semitic as well. So how could you be anti-Semitic if you, according to them, speak badly or hate speech towards quote unquote Jewish? It makes no sense at all. So it's not etymologically restricted to anti-Jewish theories, actions, or policies, but almost always used in this sense. So it has no etymology behind it at all, is what it's saying. but it's still used in that manner. So it's made up. So, they're liars. Okay. That's the point here. They liars. Now let's get 2 Timothy chapter 3, and let's get verse 1 through 3.
Come on, it's the book of 2 Timothy, chapter 3 and verse 1. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, and
you see that? So in the last days, perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of themselves, covetous, boasters, so on and so forth, false accusers. Didn't they say that the brother Kanye West and Kyrie Irving, didn't they say that they were anti-Semitic? That's a false accusation. You understand? And when you go to false accusers, here's the word diabolos. In the Spanish, diablo is literally, Satan or devil. It says prone to slander, slanderous, accusing falsely. Okay. Act a part of the devil. So devil, slander. So when I said that earlier, again, this is what the scriptures are saying. It's not me. Okay. So the so-called Jewish man is a slanderer. He's a false accuser because he's toting around a word that he just made up, and people are actually taking it serious. It doesn't have any substance to it. Okay. They're liars. Now let's get Revelation chapter 14 and verse 12.
It's the book of Revelations, chapter 14 and verse 12. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of the Most High and the faith of Yahawashi.
Well, we already know that they're eliminated here because they don't have the faith of Yahawashi. So they cannot be the saints of the Bible. But look at the other requirement, okay, to be a saint. It says, here are they that keep the commandments of the Most High. Now let's see. So when it says commandments here, it's not just referring to, loving your neighbor as yourself, which that involves its own, his own attention there of what neighbors actually are according to the scriptures. But for the sake of this scripture here, it's referring to not just the commandments, not even just the first 10 commandments. It's referring to the law in the Torah, right? So let's get one law and see do the so-called Jewish, hold up to that. Let's see do they keep the commandments of the Most High. Let's get Deuteronomy chapter 23 and verse 19.
This is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 23 and verse 19. And it reads, thou shalt not lend upon usury to thy brother, usury of money, usury of victuals, usury of anything that is lent upon usury.
Okay, so if you're not familiar with what usury is, I'll put it on the screen. So usury is essentially just interest, or what we call today predatory lending. To bite, it's almost like you're getting bit when you got that usury on you. To pay, give interest, lend for interest, or usury. So we're so used to having all type of charges levied against us that we don't even understand, according to the scriptures, you're not supposed to have that, man. You're not supposed to go to the bank and get charged 20% for a credit card here, 20% for a loan, and all of this stuff. Payday loans, that's called predatory lending. That's against the commandments, you see? So let's see how that links up to the so-called Jewish man. Does somebody have some? Time. Okay, so it says here, list of Jewish American business people in finance. Now, if you look here, you're going to see a ton like this. This just keeps going and going and going. The CEO of Wells Fargo right now is a so-called Jewish man. Okay, all these folks, man, William Bloomberg, all these people are bank owners. How are they keeping the commandments? How are they the children of the Most High when they own all these different banks? Okay, a lot of banks that they even don't own right now, they started or they got their hands in it some way. Look at all these so-called Jewish men. Okay. Now, it's not even a point. Okay, look at this. Goldman Sachs. Remember the Goldman Sachs family? Marcus Goldman. You see? So-called Jewish. So again, how are they the descendants of the Israelites of the Bible when they commit the sin of usury like it's nothing? They don't keep the commandments of the Most High at all. And this is just one of them. You understand? We linking the scriptures to real life here. So you can see it's not just me making accusations. You know, this is real life. It's real life, man. I got this one article here. I won't spend that much time on it. It's actually a good read. But it just goes into how the Federal Reserve is owned by the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers. The IRS is as well. Hopefully you don't think this, but the IRS is not owned by the federal government. It's not a federal owned entity at all. Okay, it's privately owned, whether you know that or not. A lot of these, like the Federal Reserve and the IRS, they just appear to be owned by the federal government. So you adhere to them, but they're not. They're privately owned. So, you know, as aggressive as the IRS is, like, do you think that's lawful, the way they could just snatch money out your account if you so-called owe them for some taxes on some stuff you don't even agree with, that you got to pay for? You got to pay to send somebody to the moon, and you got to pay for some stuff, you know, for these buildings and stuff you didn't even ask for. Why are people out here, you know, down bad? You have to think about this, man. Like, connect the scriptures with real life so you can see what's going on right here in front of you. All right, none of this stuff is lawful. That's why this place is Babylonian. Okay, it's demonic. That's why you can't be of the world. You understand? Like inflation. Inflation is demonic, man. You're not supposed to have stuff just go up for no reason. People just accept inflation. Me included, we all accept it to a certain extent. But when I mean accept it, meaning people don't even think about it. Like, why is there inflation? Because it's more money printed out, right? But why is more money being printed out? Who is that money going to? Inflation is really just a secret tax, to be honest, that gets paid to the Federal Reserve. That's all it is. Somebody getting paid on the back end. You understand? Like, this is not lawful. This is not normal. But, you know, it's things that you have to deal with in this wicked society. But if you don't understand that, man, it's time to wake up. All right. And when I say all these things, it's for knowledge standpoint. I'm not telling you to go live off in the land, or I think you should go live off in the woods or nothing like that. But you do need to understand where you are in the condition of the battle. All right, let's get Isaiah chapter 62, and let's get verse 1.
God, this book of Isaiah, chapter 62 and verse 1. For Zion's sake will I not hold my peace, and for Jerusalem's sake will I not rest, until the righteousness thereof go forth as brightness, and the salvation thereof as a lamp that burneth.
Now, we're about to get more prophecies on how we know that the Jewish man, so-called Jewish, is not the Israelites of the Bible. Okay, that's what we're getting right now. And for time's sake, let's skip down to verse 4.
Verse 4. Thou shalt no more be termed forsaken, neither shall thy land and more be termed desolate, but thou shalt be called.
So the land, it said, neither shall thy land anymore be termed desolate. So isn't there, quote unquote, Jewish people in the land of Israel right now? I bet if you ask them, is their land desolate, they would say no. But it says here in the scriptures, when Yahawashi comes back, this is an end time prophecy here. All right. It says that the land will anymore, or neither shall thy land anymore be called or termed desolate. Why is that place called desolate? And it says, thou shalt no more be termed forsaken. We just went through and saw all these, you know, bank and financiers that were so-called Jewish. When has the so-called Jewish man been forsaken? Everybody know who these people are. They're real estate tycoons. Okay, they got their own so-called land over there. They're not forsaken. It's the so-called black man and woman that's forsaken. You understand? We're the hidden ones, according to Psalm chapter 83 and verse 3. Okay. But back on the land, I just want to touch on that real quick. But back on the land, let's get more on that. Why is the land called desolate? All right, I want to get more on this, but you know what? Let's get Ezekiel chapter 36 and verse 35.
It's the book of Ezekiel, chapter 36 and verse 35. And they shall say, this land that was desolate is become like the Garden of Eden, and the waste and the desolate and ruined cities are become fenced and are inhabited.
See, the land of Israel right now is desolate. We see many prophecies in scriptures talking about the land, how in its current state it would be desolate. But again, why are they in that land if it's desolate? It doesn't match up with the scriptures, doesn't match up with prophecy. Why are they already over there? The people, the actual Israelites of the Bible won't be into their own land until Yahawashi comes back. According to this chapter, is Ezekiel chapter 20. You know, we did a lesson on the second Exodus, all right, or the second wilderness. So how are they already over there? It doesn't match up at all. You get it? Let's get verse 26 real quick.
Verse 26. A new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you. And I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you an heart of flesh.
Let's get verse 28.
Verse 28. And ye shall dwell in the land that I gave to your fathers, and ye shall be my people, and I will be your power.
So do the so-called Jewish man have a new heart given to him and a new spirit? Does he have the stony heart out of his flesh? All right, I'm gonna give you a heart of flesh. Is the so-called white man over there, Jewish white man, is he over there with an immortal body? Is he over there already with the celestial bodies? Because that's what it says here in the scriptures, what's going to happen when the Israelites get into the land. Then you shall dwell in the land, but not before. So it doesn't match up with scripture. It doesn't match up with prophecy at all whatsoever. So we mentioned this one time before, I believe, or maybe a couple of times, but I'm gonna keep getting this because it's relevant. You know, Tel Aviv, which is in Israel, they have one of the biggest gay parades over there, and so they proven a reputation as a gay capital, man. Gay capital of the world, they call it. Now, with the Most High have this, that's why the land is called desolate, because it's a bunch of nasty heathens over there right now, okay? And not the true children of Israel. I don't even like saying the true children of Israel because you're saying the Israelites already denotes that it's the true children of Israel. But I just have to say that term so people understand that the people called Jewish today are not Israelites. But that's why the place is desolate, man, because you got, well, actually the literal land is desolate. It's, you know, they ain't got a lot of vegetation over there. If you see pictures over there, Israel been over there or whatever. Okay, and they got gay parades. It's a bunch of sin. It's a bunch of folly over there, man. That's why the land be desolate until Yahawashi comes back, man. Let's get Jeremiah chapter 33 and verse 16.
It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 33 and verse 15. In those days, and at that time will I cause the branch of righteousness to grow up unto David, and he shall execute judgment and righteousness in the land.
So when Yahawashi comes back, let's keep going. Verse 16. All right, verse 16. In those days shall Judah. Okay.
Verse 16. In those days shall Judah be saved, and Jerusalem shall dwell safely. And this is the name wherewith she shall be called, the Lord our righteousness.
All right, so Jerusalem shall dwell safely. So when Yahawashi comes back, okay, Jerusalem or the land of Israel, Jerusalem is the capital, but Israel shall dwell safely, meaning there won't be any wars, any commotion, any of that going on. Okay, the children of Israel will have nothing to fear. They'll dwell safely. You won't have to worry about any enemies or any captors, no more captivities or nothing like that. But that's not what's going on, man. That's not what's going on out here. You see the Israeli-Palestinian conflict that's been going on for decades, okay? Because, long story, I'm not going to go into all that. Maybe we'll talk about more in the second part, but basically the people that call themselves Jewish, they forced themselves into that land after World War II. Okay, and the people that were already there were quote unquote Palestinian. They're not Israelites either or nothing. So they that's not literally their land or nothing, but they were there before they were. Okay. And essentially they get into it all the time because of that. If y'all remember just last year, they had all these bombings and stuff going on in Israel. So does this match up with prophecy? Because it said Jerusalem shall dwell safely. So how are these people, the Israelites of the Bible, when they don't fit the prophecies? It's very simple, man. Let's get 2nd Ezra chapter 6 and verse 9.
It's the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 6 and verse 9. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth.
Okay, let's segue that right over to Matthew chapter 20 and verse 16.
The book of Matthew, chapter 20 and verse 16. So the last shall be first, and the first shall be last, for many be called, but few chosen.
So the last shall be first, and the first last, for many be called, but few chosen. So what the scriptures are telling us is in the last captivity, who is going to be over the world is going to be Esau, because Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob or Israel is the beginning of it that followeth. So if these people are the Israelites of the Bible, then what is this? We must be Esau then, because well, no, that wouldn't even make sense. None of that, it just don't fit, no matter which way you try to put it. It just don't fit. And it says, so the last shall be first. So a lot of times, they say this scripture in church and they're not really understanding what it's saying here. What it's saying is that the people, the nation that's considered last right now shall be first, and the nations that are considered first now are going to be last. Okay, many are called, but few are chosen. Speaking of first and last, let's look at wealth and religion. Let's look at these statistics here. So it says income ranking by religious group, median annual household income in 2000 US dollars. Now look who at the very bottom here, killing everybody else. The quote unquote Jewish, man, at 72K. Household income in 2000. And then let's look at this. Median household income in the United States by ethnic group. Now, they don't have the so-called Jewish man on this one. I saw one graph that actually had the quote-unquote Jewish above the Indian Americans, but in this one, they don't have him on here. But look who at the bottom, at 35K, median household income, quote-unquote African Americans. You understand? It's not just money either. Don't get it twisted. Money is not the only category or statistic that determines how well a nation is doing. But think about it. Our image is at the last, is at the bottom. The crime that we're dealing with is quote unquote black on black crime. We at the very bottom. Education, we at the very bottom. How we view ourselves, how we view our women. All right. Our center of worship, we don't know who our God is or what we're doing here. We know nothing about our history, all at the bottom. Everybody else, even if it's a false pagan ideology, they have more of a sense of identity than we do. We at the very bottom. So we fit with this prophecy here a lot more than the so-called Jewish man ever will be, because he's not at the bottom. He is first right now. Okay,
So,
this is his heaven. Khan.
so going back to that chart you had pulled up. What
This one or this one?
that one there?
Okay.
What is the difference there between a white American and the average American? What are they saying?
Average American. Man, I don't know. Somebody was saying that over here too in the comments. I don't know if they just put like everybody in here on that. I don't know what an average American is, but apparently it's lower than the white Americans. So I don't even know what they had going on that.
Look like folly to me.
Yeah, that exactly. That's what I was thinking. I ain't sleep on that side. I was like, average American, white Americans, which one is? They both got a flag on them too. Con, exactly. But we see our folks down at the very bottom, man. 35K. That's a median household. And another thing, don't get it twisted. It doesn't mean that if you're a so-called black man or woman that you can't have a higher medium household income, or that you can't prosper in this society to a certain extent. I'm not saying that either, but the Most High deals with nations of people. He doesn't deal with individuals. So you may have one group or one family that may rise in, economics or whatever the case, but as a whole, our people are dead bottom. And there's nothing that, is going to change about that until this captivity is over, because we don't own things. You have to have a sense of propriety to be able to, actually be at the top of any society. You have to own things. You can't, be at the bottom and work for others. You can't work your way out of a captivity. Okay. Now listen to that nonsense. A lot of the liberals, they say it's not up to the oppressed. How they say it's not up to the oppressed, it's up to oppressor, or whatever they say. No, that's a lie. It's not. The oppressor is not going to let up on his oppression for who he's oppressing. That makes no sense at all. That's part of captivity. That's part of being on top. But anyway, let's talk about who they actually are. We've been talking about how they don't fit the prophecies. Well, let's see who they actually are. Let's get Revelation chapter 2 and verse 9. Y'all knew it was coming. Let's get it.
Con, this is the book of Revelations, chapter 2 and verse 9. I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich, and I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan.
Did we not see that they worship in synagogues? Okay. Did we not see that false accusers or slanderers, which are likened to Satan because they're deceivers, the synagogue of Satan? We already proved that. And again, it's not my words. That's just what the scriptures say, man. And Yahawashi said, I know thy works in tribulation and poverty. That's our people, man. Again, I'm dealing with the whole nation. I'm not saying that if you listen to this, you're in poverty. I'm not saying that. But as a whole, when you add everything up, we at the dead bottom, and not just in money, everything else. We're at the dead bottom, and we're not in rulership. So by default, we in poverty, no matter how much money you're able to obtain in this society. It says, but thou art rich. Okay. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they're Jews and are not. Who could this be talking about? It can't be talking about us. It can't be. It just wouldn't make any sense. Let's get Revelation chapter 3, verse 9.
The book of Revelation, chapter 3 and verse 9. And it reads, behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee.
I will make them come and worship before thy feet. This is the aspect of Yahawashi that so-called Christians and others just look all the way over. They just act like he didn't say this. They just ignore it. Yes, there will be slaves. Yes, there will be, people that come and worship to the Israelites' feet. Yes, that's true. Okay, but anyways, behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they're Jews and are not. This is talking about the so-called Jewish man today. Okay, they'll try to tell you that it's not talking about them. These are actually talking about the people that worship Satan. No, it's not. It's talking about you. And you do lie. Behold, you do lie. And we already proved that with the anti-Semitic stuff. What's crazy about them, being on top and having these different banks and different things of that nature. Why are they not proud of this? Why are they always trying to hide it? And they say it's just a conspiracy theory. If they were getting their wealth, in a righteous manner, it would be something that you would be proud of. There's nothing wrong with saying, yeah, our people is this. Yeah, our people have this. There would be nothing wrong with that. But obviously, the way that they go about it, they must know that there's something there that isn't right. It has to be, because they wouldn't be so ashamed of it. They always acting like it's a lie or something. No, we're not. That's a conspiracy theory. Jews don't own this or that. Yes, you do. You can Google some of this stuff. It's not even hard to find. Why are y'all always trying to deny it? That means something. So who these people really are Edomites, man. Okay. Now this book here says a book review, the 13th tribe. This is by a so-called Jewish man himself. So he wrote this book, and I think to no coincidence, he actually ended up being, I won't say being killed, because I don't want to get flagged or nothing, but he ended up dying later, which by a mysterious, instance. So you kind of be a judge of how that happened. But anyway, so what does it say here? Just to kind of get a little bit of it. Let's see. Let's start from here. Let's get that part right there, Baba Kashah.
Khan. In his carefully researched book entitled The 13th Tribe, author Kosler refutes the idea of a Jewish race. Moreover, he says that most Jews of the contemporary world did not come from Palestine and are not even Semitic origin. His research shows that most Jews originated in what today is the Soviet Union, and that a group of people there became Jews through conversion on the orders of their king.
Yeah, so with this man, which is quote unquote Jewish, that's why it's called 13th tribe, because his assertion is y'all ain't part of the 12 tribes, so it must be a 13th tribe or something. All right, but what he's saying is the people that call themselves Jewish are really the people called Khazars in history, and they just converted from a religious standpoint to Judaism, but they're not actually of the Israelite stock. That's what he said, not me. So you have to call your own people, quote unquote, anti-Semitic. What's the term? What, horse he got in the stable or whatever, in a race or whatever they call it. Why would he say something like this? What did he have to gain about lying about who are the Jewish people or not? He has no reason to lie about that. So, if you go through, or if you actually read this book, I suggest actually buying it, because these are going to be one of these books that may end up mysteriously, appearing on the shelves. So I recommend actually buying this in the physical form. But I have it. It's definitely a good book. It goes into, the history of the Khazars. And, these people, man, that's why they so hungry now, because they understand where they really come from. These people are the original slaves. You say the Slavonic tribes in the Northwestern Woodland. The word slave comes from the Slav or Slav, the Slavonic tribes. They're the original slaves, believe it or not. So-called blacks were not the first and only slaves. It was really them. That's why they act the way that they do now, because they don't want to fall back into that captivity. Okay. Again, believe it or not. And this wasn't the first time that they try to quote unquote convert. Let's get the book of Esther, chapter 8 and verse 17.
It's the book of Esther, chapter 8 and verse 17. And in every province and in every city, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, the Jews had joy and gladness, a feast and a good day. And many of the people of the land became Jews, for the fear of the Jews fell upon them.
It says the people of the land became Jews. You can't become a Jew. So what is this saying? All right, if we look it up here. Okay, is that a little funky here? Hold on. Yeah, this is the one right here, H3054. It says to become a Jew, in fact, or in fraud, become Judaized to become a Jew. So many of the people, the Edomites and other people throughout history, they have quote unquote converted to our customs, but that doesn't make you actually an Israelite by bloodline. You understand? Just because you take on the customs. And again, this wasn't the first time that they usurped our heritage. Okay, in the antiquities of the Jews, you see the same thing. Josephus said the same thing here. For the sake of time, we just gonna highlight that part. The rest of the Jewish ways of living, at which time therefore this befell them, and they were herefore no other than Jews, is referring to Edomites as well. Okay. Let's get Micah chapter 2 and verse 2.
This is the book of Micah, chapter 2 and verse 2. And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage.
So that's all that's happened here. So if you wonder who the so-called Jewish man is today, he's an oppressor, okay? A man that has took the Israelites' heritage. That's all it is. That's all it is. That's why so many different discrepancies between the scriptures, the Bible, and what they actually do, like a bar mitzvah, wearing that little silly frisbee on their head, like brothers was bringing out on Twitter. Okay, all that stuff that's not actually in the scriptures, man. That's why you see so many discrepancies, because they're deceivers, man. And they took our heritage. That's all that is. And it's our fault that it happened that way too. The Most High ordained it that way because of our iniquities. Let's get Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 4.
It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 17 and verse 4. And thou, even thyself, shall discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever.
See, when we go against the statute, laws, and commandments of the Most High, we have punishments for that. And again, the Most High deals with whole nations at a time. So, like that dude, Charleston White, I saw him talking about, I ain't do this. You talking about I got a curse on me? I ain't did nothing. Yeah, but that's cool and all. But the Most High deals with nations at a time. Okay. It's no different from you paying for the iniquities of your father. All right. We all have to pay for the iniquities of our father. That's always how it's went. Okay. And that's how the Most High deals with nations. So because of our forefathers and their iniquities, not keeping the statute, laws, and commandments, the Most High took away our heritage from us. That's why from a standpoint of the entire nation of people, we don't know who we are. We don't know that we're supposed to keep the statute, laws, and commandments. We don't know that we're Israelites. We don't know that we're supposed to keep the scriptures on us at all times and adhere to it. You can tell somebody that directly and they still don't get it because it's spiritual. All right, the Most High took that understanding away from us on a spiritual level to where you can tell somebody that and they still don't get it. Okay, you can show somebody this whole lesson and they'll still be like, well, this is hate speech, even though we went through and got the evidence that it's not. Okay. Let me see. Due to time, we're gonna come back and get this in part 2, but let me. Ooh, I want to get that. Matter of fact, let's get Ezekiel chapter 35, verse 15.
Come, this is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 35, and verse 15. And thou didst rejoice at the inheritance of the house of Israel, because it was desolate. So will I.
So this is about Mount Seir. This is about Esau right here. Okay, this whole chapter is about the Edomites. So it says, thou didst rejoice at the inheritance of the house of Israel. Like I said, they took our inheritance. They took our heritage. So we keep going.
Because it was desolate, so will I do unto thee. Thou shalt be desolate, O Mount Seir, and all Idumea, even all of it, and they shall know that I am the Lord.
This is talking about the so-called white man. You understand? Because you took the inheritance of the house of Israel, you rejoice at it. You laughing at us right now. Look what I make these niggers do. Okay. You got to serve, you got to go to a Holocaust museum. You got to do all this before you can play on my court again. You rejoicing. All right. Because we were desolate. But the Most High say you're going to do the same to them, man. That's what the scriptures are saying. Now, let's see. We started a little bit later on, so I want to grab this real quick, but we're going to go back over it in part 2 anyway, so I'm going to kind of pick back up right here more than likely. Let's get Genesis chapter 27, verse 39.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 27 and verse 39. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above.
Let's get verse 40.
Verse 40, and by thy sword shalt thou live, and shall serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck.
Okay, so this is concerning Esau. Okay, Esau had a blessing given to him by his father Isaac. We had a certain blessing, meaning the children of Israel, we had a blessing, okay, that you read about in this chapter. But for the sake of this lesson, let's talk about Esau's blessing. It was the sword. So war, okay? And thou shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, my friend, let's just focus on this. We'll get the rest of that on part 2. I did just want to grab this real quick, because we're going to see that the so-called Jewish man, he lives by war, man. He lives by the sword, whether you understand that, like that or not. Let's get it out the horse's mouth. Okay. It says the first comes from Meyer Amschel Rothschild, because this guy here, he says, it's not anti-Semitic to criticize global domination of the Rothschilds. We know the Rothschilds are so-called Jewish. Let's see what they say. It says, let me issue and control a nation's money, and I care not who writes the laws, because they do control the money. Okay. And they've said this, many, many years ago. The second is from Gödel Schappner Rothschild, the mother of 5 sons residing in London, Paris, Frankfurt, Vienna, and Naples, respectively, because that's where they rule a lot of America from over there internationally. She said, again, this is a so-called Jewish woman, the mother of many of the other Rothschilds, okay, some of the most prominent ones. She said, if my sons did not want wars, there would be none. That's what she said. So is she anti-Semitic? You understand? Because she said that about her own people. She said, my sons did not want wars, there would be none. Esau was given, wrong scripture, Esau was given the blessing of the sword. You get it? All the wars that you see, well, at least most of them, they get started by the international bankers for resources and things of that nature. Is never over these things that they tell you on the media. Okay, the media gives you one side of the story, but they want everybody to believe is the truth, and then on the back end you have what's actually the truth. Okay. And it's normally over resources. Most of all wars are fought over resources, whether that be natural resources, control of land, of people, whatever the case. So I guess, Jewish people are anti-Semitic against their own, because that's literally what she said. That's a real quote. Okay. We'll pick up on part 2 with the rest of it. So for now, I bid everyone mighty shalom.